Hey, welcome back to Scar Bearers. This is Christy T. Gordon. I am so happy to have my new friend Paul Forchione with me. How are you doing today, Paul?
I'm well, Chris. I'm happy to be on your podcast today.
And I'm happy to have you here. So, you are a mindset coach. What exactly is that?
Yes, well, Mindset Coach helps people improve their mindset so that they're more productive at work, so they're more present for their friends and family, and more importantly, they feel better on the inside. Every single day, it takes mindset to take on your day, whether you have goals of starting your own business or getting promoted or making more friends or just feeling better about yourself. It all takes about mindset. So basically, I try to help my clients in coming up with gratitude. So what I mean by that is when they wake up every morning, before they grab their phone to look at their social media or email or turn the TV on or the radio or whatever you do in the morning, before you do all that stuff, take a few minutes of your time and think about things that you're grateful for. It could be a good spouse, it could be a good job, it could be your sense of humor, whatever it is that you feel that you possess. Think about that every single day and try to come up with something different every single day. And what that will do for you is that will set your day off on the right foot, because you're going to start to look for the positive things that happen in each day. It could be, oh, look at me, I just got this great coupon. Now I can buy these pair of pants that I wasn't going to buy because I didn't have this coupon. And it could be the same way if you have that negative mindset, because you could think, oh, I got a flat tire. Just my luck. It always happens to me. Yeah, it does happen to you because you're always looking out for the negative. And it's the same thing about being positive. If you're looking out for the positive things are going to happen for you because you're thinking about it. You're pointing it out.
So given our current situation, our situations, depending on your viewpoint, how important is having the proper mindset?
It's important in any aspect of your life. I think it's important in this day and age and past day and age and in the future. It's all about mindset in anything you do. So yes, I think it's crucial. And with you're talking about what's going on right now, I'm not telling people to be naive and not be informed with what's going on. I think it's very important to be informed in what's going on and develop your own opinions on what you think is right. I totally feel that. But there's a point when you're looking at the media and you're looking at your social media, you're looking at all the stuff, and sometimes it's just going to come negative to you and you start to get angry or you get sad. And so I just recommend, limit, the amount that you take in. Obviously you want to be informed. I'm not saying, put your head in the sand by all means, but sometimes if you overdo it, it hurts your mood. It makes you angry or sad. And it's okay to feel those feelings. If you're sad and angry, those are human feelings. I'm not saying to bottle anything up, but at some point in time, you're going to be like, you know what? I don't want to be angry right now. I don't want to be sad. And at that point, that's the awareness. And at that point, you can change it once you're aware of those feelings. I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry if it didn't.
No, it does. It truly does. Thank you very much. And you're absolutely right. We are so inundated with social media and the 24-hour news cycle that you're right. Without the proper mindset, it could send you down the rabbit hole for sure. So how does one become a mindset coach? How did you decide that this was the right path for you?
Well, that takes me back all the way to me being an infant, Chris. I was diagnosed with something called cerebral palsy. And if your viewers don't know what that is at birth, I didn't get enough oxygen to the brain, which affected one side of the body, affects your motor skills, could cause paralyzation, and it's a permanent disability. Apparently, it was so severe for me that the doctor told my mom that I would never be able to walk. Well, thank goodness for a great mom. She got other opinions, second, third, fourth, fifth, finally found somebody that she felt would help me. And that kind of started my journey on physical therapy. And I did that for 10 years. And I got my first break, when I was 3 years old, when I was able to walk. Obviously, the doctor told me I wasn't going to be able to walk, so that was definitely huge. Now, I was 3, so I don't really remember that much at all, actually. But I do remember being 5 and my mom putting me into soccer, and I was only being able to run 25, 50 yards where these other kids are doing laps, and felt so defeated. Like, I just want to be one of these other kids, being able to run laps and really enjoy soccer, right? I was just put in for a couple minutes, just as participation, basically. So that was extremely tough. But then I got my second break when I was around 7. I got surgery on my right foot to give me a little bit more spring in my step, to give me a little bit more mobility. And I didn't test it out yet, but I switched schools around that same time. And I remember my first day of physical education, PE, you do your stretches and the teacher tells you to run a lap. And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, here we go again. I'm going to stick out. All these kids are going to see that I can't run. The teasing's going to start again. But something different happened. Due to my surgery, when I started running with these other kids, I went past the point where I normally wasn't able to go any further because my foot would start really, really hurting. It didn't hurt anymore. And I kept up with these other kids, and I kept saying to myself, come on, Paul, you got this, Paul. Keep going, buddy. You got this. And I finished the lap with everybody else. And on the outside, I kept it cool. But on the inside, I'm like, yes, 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 finally. And the first time in my life, I felt like one of the other kids. Things definitely got easier for me, Chris, but I wouldn't consider them easy. I remember changing schools in junior high, and being a new kid in junior high with no disability is tough. But being a new kid with a disability, it was brutal. I mean, I was bullied, teased every single day, and I remember crying in my room after school pretty much every single day, going, why me? Why do I have to deal with this crap? Why can't I just be one of these other kids? And I remember around halfway through 8th grade, I got sick of being angry. I got sick of crying. And I thought to myself, what can I do to change this? What can I do? And I thought to myself, why don't you set a goal to distract yourself from these feelings? So I said, okay. And I thought to myself, well, what goal should I set for myself? And, I was raised liking baseball, and I love baseball. So I thought to myself, why don't I try to set a goal that I make my varsity high school baseball team? So I would play spring ball, fall ball, and winter ball. And if I wasn't doing that, I was throwing a tennis ball against the wall. I was doing this pretty much every single day. And something miraculous happened when I changed my mindset. The kids around me changed their mindset about me. Instead of bullying, teased me, they started rooting for me. They saw this change in me, and they wanted me to go for it and try it. And I'm happy to say that I was able to make my varsity baseball team as a junior and as a senior. And I kind of took this mindset going forward in school at Cal State Fullerton. And then I as a 21, 22-year-old kid, like pretty much everybody else, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm like, I had no life experience. Yeah, exactly. So I had a friend who was in the mortgage industry, a family friend. So I started doing that, and I really, really enjoyed it. I got really good at it. Then 2008, 2009 hit, and the economy really tanked. And I stayed in the business, but the government put some new regulations on us, which a lot of it rightfully so. There was a lot of stuff that needed to be cleaned up, but some of the stuff, I in my opinion, a little overboard. For instance, I remember having to say my mortgage license number, every single call, and if I didn't, and there was a secret shopper, and I didn't say it, I could get in trouble. And if I got in trouble too often, not saying my license number, I could get fired. So I remember, being on these calls now and worried about the things that I'm supposed to say for regulation purposes. And I stopped thinking about the client, because before I would just be listening to the client and what does the client need? What kind of mortgage does the client need? And after a while, I couldn't even think about what the client was needing. I wasn't even listening. I was thinking, did I say my license number? Did I say this? Did I say that? So I became more robotic. So I kind of started to lose my luster. And I remember about 6 years ago, they brought in to the sales team a motivational speaker. And the guy blew me away. The guy was so great. So I went to him after the presentation. I'm like, this is awesome, man. And I picked his brain a little bit. And I thought to myself, this might be something. This might be something. So I started getting my career coaching license and my life coaching certificate. And I started putting it out in the universe that I wanted to be a life coach, mindset coach, whatever you want to call me. And then I knew that, starting a new business, I knew that, I'm making great money as a mortgage loan officer, but obviously starting a new business, you ain't making that same money. It's going to take you a long time before you really start making a profit. So I really hunkered down on my finances, really paid off my debts, living, kind of a minimal lifestyle until, things start to, really take off. And I'm happy to say that I'm now a mindset coach full-time, and I'm here talking to you, Chris, on this podcast.
Awesome. That's a fantastic story, Paul. Thank you for sharing. I do want to go back a little bit. When you're talking about being, I believe it's in second grade, and then later on in middle school, you said that first and second grade, you said, come on, Paul, let's do it, Paul. And then in middle school, you thought to yourself this, those are examples of self-talk. How important is self-talk in either everyday life or in situations of high stress or anxiety?
It's extremely important to have good self-talk. I always tell a lot of my clients is the first thing you have to do before you can start your goals or do anything. You got to love yourself. You got to feel good about yourself. So if you don't love yourself, so to speak, we need to go on a journey to find yourself and why you don't love yourself and find out the root of the problem. And then after we find the root of the problem, start coming up with things that you do well and start feeding your mind with the great things that you do well, because everybody's unique and everybody has their special talents. Sometimes it just takes people longer to find it. Some people, it takes them until their 60s and 70s to find their talent. And not to mention, every year, as you get in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, your passions change. So you have to reinvent yourself, because the stuff that you liked in your 20s may not be what you like in your 30s, 40s. So you constantly have to reinvent yourself and constantly have to give yourself a break and be patient with yourself. I'm a proponent of not putting yourself down. Little progress is better than no progress. I really firmly believe that. So, I mean, if some days, somebody is, on the, sitting on the table eating potato chips, obviously you might want to be aware of it, but I wouldn't say, don't beat yourself. I'm a horrible person because I'm sitting at my couch eating potato chips. Find out, start to think about, why do I want to sit on my couch with potato chips? Am I tired? Am I not feeling good? I mean, what is the reason why I like doing this and not doing anything else? I would start to do some self-evaluation, some self-talk is what you just mentioned. Yeah.
That's a very good point. Thank you. Yeah. I think right now, like I mentioned, we're in a very interesting situation or situations. And, people sometimes they feel that need to retreat. And retreat to the couch, or retreat to the potato chip bag, and like you said, it's nothing bad, but it's a retreat is one thing. A full dive in, head first into the Ruffles bag is something else. And so, say if someone were to imagine I'm one of your clients, and I tell you I'm feeling like I want to just not do anything, what would be the questions you would ask me to get me into a better frame of mind? Now, I know you've given us a few examples, just a couple of seconds ago, but I want to just kind of work this out a little bit.
Well, the first thing that I would do, the first two things I would do is, number one is listen to you, listen to what you're saying. Start probing some questions and asking why. Why don't you want to do anything? Why don't you think? And people will say, I don't know. But if I keep asking kind of the same question, but different ways over and over again, finally, if I ask you that question, in different ways a few times, all of a sudden something will trigger in your mind and go, you know what? Because, my wife doesn't, and I know that's not you. I'm just making this up. My wife is unhappy with me, or my kids aren't talking to me, or my job is the job is really, really stressful, and I really don't want to go to work anymore. So what I would do is listen. Number one, ask probing questions and have empathy for you, because your feelings should be validated. You're feeling something for a reason, and that's okay to feel that feelings. I mean, there's so many times, especially in the in the older generations, especially for men, it's men don't cry. We rub dirt on it and we move forward, and that's not healthy. I think vulnerability is a strength, and if people can see that as a strength, they can open up so many doors for themselves. For example, my story that I just told you, Chris, I was ashamed of that story for many, 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 many years. And the reason why I was ashamed of that story, because I've done some self-evaluation about this, is because for so long as a kid, all I wanted to do was fit in. That's all I wanted to do. And I did not want anybody to feel sorry for me, anybody to give me any special treatment, because I wanted to be one of the other kids. So because of that, I thought if I told the story, people will perceive me as weak. But when I started my journey as wanting to become a life coach, I saw that as a strength. I saw that if I'm going to be vulnerable, if I'm asking my clients to be vulnerable with me, I need to be vulnerable with them so they know where I'm coming from. And when I open up about my story, boy, oh boy, that just opens them up to say, oh, you know what? Ooh, I'm so glad you told me that story. And I build this comfort bubble, so to speak, that I'm coming from a place of love, not judgment. So they're able to tell me some of the stuff that, that they don't normally tell their spouse because they're feeling maybe some judgment or whatever. And with me, it's not. It's about listening and having empathy for what the person's saying and not judging what they're saying. I don't want them to think, oh, I don't want to say that to Paul. Paul's going to be judging me. No, I want you just to spill it and just get it all out. And then we can kind of put the pieces together and help you move forward.
Okay. So listening, asking probing questions, and having empathy. And I know that's, a very simplistic rundown, but that's the foundation of what you do, correct?
Absolutely. That's, basically, I had a client talk to me, gosh, this was a couple weeks ago, right? And she was in just a horrible mood. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be tough. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh no, this is going to be hard. And, I was just listening and letting her vent and letting it go out. And then I go, is there, and then, when there was a pause, I go, is there anything else? Is there anything else? And she went on a little bit further and I go, okay, good. Is there anything else? No, I think that's it. And then after she got that all out, I started pointing out the things that she was venting about, positive things that she was doing in those things, because she wasn't thinking about that. She was in a negative mindset. She was like, oh, this, and this. And I'm like, well, this is what you're doing right here. And remember, this was really good. And all of a sudden, her mood just changed. She's like, oh, you know what? You're right. That is good. And by the end of the phone call, her mood did a 180. And I thought to myself, man, that is awesome. I mean, just her feeling good made me feel so good. I'm like, man, not to be selfish, but I felt good because I helped her feel good.
Well, that's excellent. That's why, I do this podcast and why you work as a mindset coach is because we want to have a positive effect on people. And so that's fantastic. How many, if you don't mind me asking, if you could ballpark it, or if you don't want to answer, that's okay. How many clients do you have?
Because what happens is you have clients that come in and then they're good, or they fall out or something like that. So currently I have, let me see, 8.
Okay, excellent. And I'm sure you see them in different variations, like maybe one once a week, and then maybe another one twice a month.
So I have a couple different programs that I offer. Okay, I offer a 12-month program where you get 2 sessions a month, hour-long sessions, and then you're in between sessions. You'll be able to contact me through email or text. And then obviously that's the best value. And then I have a 6-month package, the same thing. And then I have a month-to-month. So, but basically it's offering 2 coaching sessions a month, and then you're able to, email me or text me if you have a question or two that you want to work out.
Excellent. What is your, and I don't mind, this is a really off the cuff question. So if it's a little weird, go ahead and let me know. What is your favorite problem to solve, I guess, if you had one? Like if it's
favorite problem to solve.
We got this down. There's you could like
I don't want to I feel like I don't want to say that I got this down. You know what I mean? Because everybody's different, and maybe I there's things that have come up with another client that that's given me some information to help another client, but even still, every client's different. Every client's unique. So I never want to feel like I got this down, because I want to be present with the client, and me saying that I got this down, I think, will throw it off. I think it's, constant evolution on my part, constantly growth on my part to become a better coach. And I don't BS. If they come up with something crazy that I don't know the answer to, I'll say that's a great question, but you know what? Gosh, I don't even know the answer to that. You know what I mean? I want to, and then if it gets to a certain level where, because I don't have a doctorate in psychology, and if it gets to that level, I feel like, hey, you know what? This is not for a coach. This is for a psychiatrist, because a psychiatrist helps, I feel, on the past. They go over the past and they help you through the past. I'm not about that. I'm about helping you with the present to the future. You have things that you want to work on, whether it's in your personal life, career life, spiritual life. I want to help you get there. And, and I tell my clients this, I am not going to be doing the heavy lifting. The client's going to be doing the heavy lifting. Mm-hmm. When things are going right in your life and everything is great, I'm not as useful. I'm useful when you're in the weeds and you're like, oh no, oh man, when is my next session with Paul? I need a boost of positivity, and that's where I come into play.
Excellent. No, I really appreciate your answer there, and I totally agree that once you have it in your head, as a coach's head, oh, I got this down. You're right. You kind of lose your edge, and you're not giving your client or your audience all they deserve. And so
yeah, exactly. Then I feel like if you're doing that, you're going through the motions, because you're just going memory. You're not really listening. I don't think you're being present with your client. If you're saying, oh, I got this down, and I want to zone in on exactly what my client is saying to me. I want to listen. I mean, a lot of time, I'm doing a lot of talking right now on the podcast, but I like on my sessions, I like my client to do most of the talking. I like to listen, because most of the time I found they're not really looking for my advice. What they're looking for is somebody to talk to that's not judging them, that empathizes with what they're saying. Because a lot of times I'm like, I barely said any words, and they're like, thank you, Paul. I loved it. And I'm like, I didn't even say anything. And I realized it's more because, they just wanted to vent, and they wanted somebody to listen to them. And And I find myself doing that most of the time.
Good. So what is a message that you want to send to our listeners?
The message I want to send to your listeners is this. If you believe in whatever you believe, you can achieve. Eliminate that limited belief, because you have talents so powerful inside of you, you don't even understand how powerful they are. And if you have limited belief, then you'll never get that power out of you. The sky is the limit. And stretch yourself. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, whether that's doing a public speaking, whether that's talking to somebody at the grocery store. You know, some people are very shy, and just talking to somebody outside their realm is uncomfortable. And that is great. I feel that's awesome. You know, even the small progress is progress.
I agree. No, that's great. And so where could people find you if they wanted to reach out to you, Paul?
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. There's a few different ways to reach me. First, you can reach me at my website at acalltoaction.coach. We'll even have my cell phone on there, because I have my phone number. I'm old. You know, if you want to be old school, I love old school. Just pick up the phone and then let's talk and see if I can be a fit for you. Otherwise, you know, we can do other ways. But that's number one. Number two is you can go on my Facebook, A Call to Action. I have a lot of good content on that. Or you can look me up on LinkedIn at Paul, and my last name, F as in Frank, O-R, C as in Charlie, H-I-O-N-E. And if you like podcasts, obviously do, because you're listening to this great one here. I also do a podcast called Actions and Limits, which is kind of similar to Chris's podcast about, that belief, that you can achieve great things if you just put your mind to it.
And that a call to action, the 2 is a number 2, correct?
No, not on my website. No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
On my link on my Instagram, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, but on my website, it's not. It's a call to action.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for
.coach.
straightening that out. And we'll have all the information down below with the video and the podcast. All right. And so my last question, which is the question my audience loves to learn about all my guests. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Well, Chris, for me, it's the raptor. And it's because I loved growing up, I watched Jurassic Park. And boy, oh boy, man, you don't mess with the raptor.
That is true.
They'll come at you, and you don't even know they're there.
Yep. And what, don't think a door is going to save you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much for sharing your story and your message, as well as some insights into the world of a mindset coach.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate the time. And if you wanted to come on the Actions Limits podcast, let me know. I'd be happy to talk with you. We'll switch places.
I think we'll definitely have to have that happen.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you. And everyone, feel free to check out Paul, the various places, and we'll talk with you later. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Paul. Please use his various channels to reach out to him if you have any questions about mindset coaching. You may also reach out to me at my website, which is www.chrisdtgordon.com, my Instagram, which is @chrisdtgordon, and also my podcast, Scar Bearers, which I will also feature this interview. I hope you have a great day, and remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.